The TPS reports. We're here for the fourth time this year. As always, I'm Justin. This time I'm joined by Chris. Chris, what's up, buddy?
What's up, buddy? I'm glad to be here. First time here, but I've listened to all of the previous podcasts up to date. So
thank you. We appreciate it. And obviously you're a big part of the pool series, taking the awesome photos, which you just posted earlier today, by the way.
Yeah.
They look pretty good. I'm a little upset I only made it in one of them, but other than that, they look really great.
I know. I was like, man, I didn't get Justin enough this time. And I also, it's hindsight, I realized I didn't get Jeff Powell. There's some other players that I wish I would have got more.
Well, don't ever worry about getting me, because unless I'm playing, I really don't care. Like, all I'm doing is just standing there running the show. People don't need to know what I look like.
Understood.
I'm like the great and powerful Oz from the Wizard of Oz. Like, you don't look at me.
No, I do try very hard to make sure to get a few of you throughout the day, and I just, I was playing so much and it was back to back to back, and so yeah, I will mental notes every time I kind of go back and readjust. So I'll try and get some more on the next time. But I always love taking pictures of you, man.
Yeah, you do a great job, dude. And you did play a lot, which we'll get into here later. But we just had our first 10-ball event of the year. It was our fourth event of the year. We've had 2 9-balls in one pocket and now a 10-ball. We were at Fast Action Billiards in Statesville. We did have a full field of 32. And as always, it was $1,000 added. We paid out a total of 47. Is that right? How much did we pay out? Do you remember what it was? I should have wrote it down. I didn't even write it down. I'm an idiot.
Yeah. All I know is I got 0 of that. So
it was our biggest payout of the year. We paid out $4,810.
Awesome.
That's pretty good for a 32-player one-day field. I guess so. This was your second time going up there, Chris?
This was my second tournament. I went to the first one. It was I think it was 9-ball.
That was 9-ball, yeah.
9-ball back last year, and lovely place. I love that place. It's it's a players pool hall for sure. I like the layout. Tough tables. You kind of get a mixed bag on like what the table's going to play like. They don't all play the same, which is kind of an added factor of difficulty, which is good.
I like that, honestly.
Yeah, 100%. So it toughed things up a bit. It made you had to get on your game to get acclimated to the table, and I think everybody was dealing with that a little bit.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but it was a great tournament.
Yeah, it was a very good tournament. Let's go ahead and thank our sponsors that really, they're the ones that help make this tournament possible, because without them, we would not be able to do it. Deadstroke Media, obviously Pat Dixon, who's not with us tonight, but he was there Saturday, and he did play in the tournament. I believe he won 1 round. Inkwell Design, JC Riggs with another awesome trophy, which you, Chris, took a great photo of and posted it on our Facebook page. The Roundabout Grill, thank you to them for sponsoring again. They're right down the road from Fast Action. They're only like 20 minutes away. Alpha Installations, Rhett, we didn't get to see him this time, but obviously he's a fixture on the pool series. Portico Licensed General Contractors, Corey Shimtov, thank you so much. Tim's Cues, Tim Hewitt, we definitely appreciate him as well. Branded Apparel, Mike Staney and his company, they do a lot of stuff. Get in contact with them. They can pretty much do anything you need. Pooldoctors.com. Obviously, it is getting summertime. Maybe you need some pool work done, or maybe you just need a brand new pool, but definitely check them out. Obviously, Fast Action is one of our sponsors, so thank you for them for allowing us to have the tournament and, for giving us the location for the day. And TKO Custom Cues, Kirk Overcash, thank you so much, buddy. We really appreciate it. He does great cue work. I actually sent somebody his way on Saturday, so I don't know if they ended up making it or not, but that was our sponsors. Thank you so much to all of them. Chris, let's go back to the tournament. Obviously, we post the players list the day before, so you kind of have an idea of the players list. Did you look at it, and what did you think heading into the tournament?
I did not look at it as closely as I probably should have going in. I noticed some new faces that I didn't see in the posted tournament. I didn't know if that was because people had dropped off the day of and those players had filled spots.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had 2 players drop out after the players list was posted. So yeah.
And common occurrence it seems like, but
Happens
yeah.
a lot in the tournament.
Well, thank you for your donations.
Yes.
But yeah, but certainly when we get arriving to the tournament, seeing some of the players that I'd seen earlier in the week playing in the tournaments, European players, that was added bonus to see some good players show up in the upper echelon of 700 Fargos.
Oh yeah.
But certainly, most of the field was, normally who you'd see. A lot of local players to Statesville, so I kind of expected that. But a good all-around field. I was really proud to be, to hang amongst some of those guys and gals in that tournament.
Yeah, it was a very interesting field. We did have 18 new players that had yet to play this year. A few 18. Of those 18 first timers for the year of 2025. A bunch of them have played last year, but this year was their first time. So we had 18 new players, one of which was a girl, Julia Bright. We had one female this time, and I think we had a junior as well, David Green.
Yep, David Green. Yeah.
I don't know exactly how old he is. Do you know? Do you happen to know?
I don't. I know his mother was there. I did not catch his age, but I know he's an up and coming player. I heard a few people talking about him, so got to watch a few of his shots, a little bit of his game, and it looked promising. So
yeah, he's definitely gonna be a good player. He's signed up for our next event next time we're up there as well. So
fantastic.
Yeah, and this was a very tough field, man. We had 5 players above a 700 Fargo. It's not very often that we have a field where Mike Davis is not the number 1 highest ranked. It's not very often. It's not very often that Ronald Bott is the 5th highest.
Yeah.
So this was a very tough field, and congratulations to the 8 players that cashed, because obviously we always pay out the top 8.
Yeah.
And I'll go ahead and read off those top 8, and we'll just kind of talk about how amazing they were. Really, first place with the trophy, you had Francisco Diaz Pizarro. Hopefully, I pronounced that correct. Second place, you had Josh Heater. Third place, David Anderson. Fourth place, Gabriel Gendak. Again, hopefully I pronounced that correctly. Fifth, sixth, Jeff Howell and Mike Davis. Seventh, eighth, Tim Nelson and Clint Clark. Chris, where do you want to start, man? What pops out to you first? What's the first thing you want to talk about?
Well, I didn't know much about Francisco. I think starting from the top, I guess, and work our way down. Francisco, I know he had showed up in a tournament earlier in the week that I was in. Knew he was a good player, but he got knocked out relatively early.
Who beat him in that tournament?
I don't know. That's a great question. I should go back. I should have taken a look at the bracket before hopping on this podcast. But yeah. So. But I know that I had lost to, was it third place? Is that, or that was fourth place? Jindak.
Third and fourth. Yeah, you got third/fourth. Yeah,
third/fourth, and split. Lost to him in the semifinals, and he split the tournament without Manuel. But so those 2 players kind of stand out that I kind of expected to finish in the upper spots. Yeah, I mean, David Anderson played great. Was excited to see him there, and just kind of was like he never left. Just kind of came back in and just went to town. I know it was a good match against Mike Davis.
That was a fantastic match. That honestly, from a personal side of things, I think that was like my favorite match on the stream table for the whole tournament. Yeah,
right. 100%.
But yeah, let's just talk about Francisco for a second. Obviously, a European champion twice. I think he's a 2-time European champion. He's, finished up there in a lot of other tournaments. Obviously, coming into the field, I think he was definitely the favorite to win. And I'm going to be honest with you, there for about probably the last 2 matches that he played, the Final Four winner side, Well, Final Four winner side, hot seat match, and the finals. So probably the last 3 matches he played. I think he played absolutely perfect, and I don't think anybody ever in the pool series event has ever played that well for 3 consecutive matches.
Wow, that's a big statement.
Yeah, I mean,
Big statement.
yeah, he played. I mean, I'm talking like every shot was perfect shape.
Yeah.
Every shot was pretty much center of the pocket. Played absolutely phenomenal safeties. It was just a lot of fun to watch, and I was really glad. Like it's instances like that where I'm glad I run the tournament and I get to sit there front row.
Watch some good pool. Exactly, 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, you talked about the other guy from Europe, Gabriel Gendak, also a really great player. It kind of surprised me though, really, like, as great as he played, he did struggle a little bit. Obviously, finishing 4th, he lost to Francisco earlier on, and then Josh Heater beat him to knock him out. But there was like, maybe just he said he's not used to such short races.
Yeah.
So I think maybe that kind of threw him off. But I mean, obviously, also he had the toughest draw in this tournament. I don't know. Have you looked at the draw that he had in this tournament?
I have not, but let's take a look. Let's see.
He played 8 matches, and let's start from the second match. He played Francisco second round. That was a loss. Then he plays Hunter White, DeAndy Santos, Julia Bright, who was playing pretty good. Then he plays Clint Clark, Jeff Howell, and Josh Heater.
Yeah, that's not a draw I would like to get. And
no.
So, yeah, that was pretty tough, and I think he did pretty well with it. I know that he had mentioned some things about the format and also just the overall notoriety of tournaments. So I don't know if you want to get into that.
Yeah, I definitely think he's more of a gambler than he is a tournament player.
Sure.
But it was definitely nice of both of those guys to play while they're here in America, because I think they're flying back to Europe at some point.
Okay.
Let's talk about Josh Heater a little bit here. So Josh Heater, say what? Go ahead.
Oh no, yeah, Josh Heater put me out in the losers bracket. Played solid.
This is the second time he played this year. Second time he's finished top 2. He won the 9-ball event at Smoke and Q. Now second place in the 10-ball event. Is Josh Heater, is he finally like getting on that level that maybe he should be, where he, should be like considered one of the best players?
After playing him, I certainly think so. I think he definitely, he brings such a carefree kind of feel to the game where when you watch him play, it's like he's not even trying, and he's just getting out and making incredible shots. Really knowledgeable about the game, has a really good stroke to him that seems almost perfect in some ways to get shape, and so I was really impressed. It got me nervous enough to lose 2-0 to him, and I felt like I was playing good up until that point, and so yeah, I was excited to see him go so far, and it looks like he had a good record all through the tournament. So.
Yeah, I mean, I was, honestly, part of me kind of wanted to see him win because, it would have been his second straight tournament win, which we don't see very often, other than like Mike Davis. So I thought that would have been really cool to see. But Josh is a dad. He became a dad at some point last year. Do you think? Yeah. So do you think maybe he just has like that father power that we see like a lot of like athletes get when they become dads?
Yeah, must be that new that yeah. I don't know what it is, and he also had a very hard, he had to play 9 matches total. I mean, more than anybody else in the tournament. So
that's a lot.
So yeah, I mean, he lost his 3rd match, it looks like, and just kind of went on a tear from there all the way to his final loss. But yeah, I mean, that new father power must have, I don't know if I'll go start making some babies to harness that, but good for him. I mean, he shot really good, and he was even stand up after the match. He knew I was kind of frustrated with myself, and he was showing me some funny videos or whatnot. So yeah. I appreciate that. Kind of get me out of that mental head state of myself beating myself up. So he was a true gentleman there. So
yeah, Josh has always been a nice guy, but now it seems like he just since he became a dad, it seems like he's just on like a different level of I don't know, man. He seems very zen, I guess. Is that the right way to say it?
Yeah, and he's probably enjoying that time to go and do, something that he loves, which he probably doesn't get to do as much anymore being a new father. So, that those little mental breaks, and being able to go out, he's going to make the most of it. So I think that's a good point.
Yeah, and then let's talk about David Anderson a little bit, who finished third. We haven't seen him in a while. This was the first time he played this year. I think he only played a few times last year, but I think he came out and really showed that, he still has that capability to play at a top-notch level. And it was good to see him get over the hump, by beating Mike Davis, because, that's a match where even when David was playing his best, that's a player that David probably never would have got past in the, years ago.
100%. Yeah, I think one thing that I think about with David is just his he keeps very stable through a match. Like, you don't see him get highs or lows. It's very stable. His mechanics are very good. And he just handles business. That's why they call him the machine.
Yeah.
So, but no, he did a great job, and I was really proud to see how well he did, especially against that Mike Davis match. That was he was, I thought he was going to actually take both sets.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
And, but no, that was a great match.
Yeah, that was a very good match. Not just for, like I said, personal reasons. I enjoyed it. Nothing against Mike. Just
sure.
I want to see David's been close to winning these tournaments, and I really want to see him get through and finally snap one off.
Right.
Let's talk about the fifth, sixth place guys. Jeff Howe and Mike Davis. It's not very often that Mike finishes fifth place. So, I mean, does that look weird seeing his name next to fifth?
It does, and then everybody has their days. I don't know if it was just not a Mike Davis day. I think I did see him miss shots that he normally would not miss.
Yeah, he even told me. He even said at one point, probably I think either maybe his third match. I think before he played David, I think it was Mike even said, he's like, man, I'm not playing my best today. If I had a different route, I probably would already be out of the tournament.
Yeah. I noticed that as well. I was thinking that maybe it was just, kind of dealing with some stuff that, was holding him back. So, I still think, to still get fifth, sixth in a field like that is truly notable. So I would have, maybe my standards are different, but I think to get fifth, sixth amongst that field was a really good feat. I wasn't really sure what his path looked like.
If you look at his path, he probably, obviously he's favored in a ton of matches, but he probably really was heavily favored probably in his first three matches. Yeah. And that's nothing to take away from the, the three people that he played. Sure. He played Craig Teitelbaum, Steve McDaniels, and Julia Bright.
Yep.
Nothing against those three. They're all actually really good players, and sure. Steve and Craig have both cashed in our events, and Julia's probably, if she plays more in our tournaments, I think she'll cash soon. So,
right.
At the end of the day, Mike probably is heavily favored in those matches.
Right. Well, losing to David probably, set him back a little bit, and then, going up against Josh, and I know how Josh was playing. Yeah. Josh seemed to be catching a second wind. Later on in the night. And so I think, it was just one of the things.
For sure. And then Jeff Howe getting fifth place. I believe that's only the second time he's played in one of our events. He got third place the other time that he played. So he's 2 for 2 on cash.
That's fantastic. That's notable in itself. So yeah, I was just disappointed I wasn't able to get more photos of Jeff, but it didn't work out where he was playing at the same time that I was taking pictures, but I messaged him today, told him that he did a great job. I thought that was a bang up job for him, and he plays a great game. I play him in APA a lot, I've only played him once, but I watched him play a lot.
No, he's a really good player. I'm sure he doesn't mind not getting photographed because being in the APA world, he's in a lot of photos probably.
100%.
Seventh, eighth place, Tim Nelson and Clint Clark. Let's talk about Tim. First time he's catching the pool series event.
Is that the first time?
Yeah.
Really? Okay. Well, I know he plays like Efren when he's in practice. And then I don't know what it is when he gets into the tournaments. And then, kind of, has struggled a bit. And I played him first. He knocked me into the losers bracket, and he played okay. I want to say he wasn't playing because we were practicing right before that, and he was playing amazing there. But it looks like he got his mind right, and he was able to go through the tournament very well. And so I'm very proud of that for him.
He's another one of those guys, man. He's like you said, great practice player, and even in handicap tournaments, I think he does great. I think he just hasn't played enough non-handicap events, so I think he kind of, it's a different mentality, really, as opposed to when you're getting spotted. Because sometimes in these handicap tournaments, maybe he's getting spotted, or maybe he's doing the spotting. So, he might just have a different mentality, maybe, with an even race.
Must be, and I will say he's very knowledgeable about the game. And one thing I do appreciate is, I know he was on a stream not too long ago, one of the pool series streams, and helped commentate. And I really appreciated his commentary. I thought he offered good perspective on some of the shots.
I think that was our first event of the year up in Nebraska.
Okay. Yep. Yeah. Yeah, he did a good job, and I thought, and anytime we've discussed pool, it feels like he has good insight onto maybe what the better shot was, or position play and things of that nature. So I think he's got a great mind for the game. It's just obviously we all struggle with making it all come together on go time, and he did it this tournament. So I'm glad to see he cashed.
Yeah, I was really glad to see him cash too, and he was pretty happy about it also. The other player, the last player in the cash, Clint Clark, obviously part owner of Fast Action. He won the inaugural event that we had up there, so came up a little short this time, but I'm not all surprised that he cashed. And I think, he even said, he's like, man, it's tough to run the place, be here all the time, and then try to grind through a tournament like this.
Company man.
Yeah, I mean, it changes a lot whenever you're, involved with the day-to-day process of the establishment. Like, I used to feel the same problem, and you probably felt it too when you work at Smoking Q. Like, it does make it a little tougher, I feel like.
Yeah, when I wouldn't say I was running the place, so it probably wasn't as big. I was working kind of part-time in between jobs, but for him, I know he's got a lot of weight on his shoulders, being, having to be there all the time and make sure everything's running smoothly, and he probably has to answer questions and handle business activities in between matches or during matches even. So I could imagine that's a stressor that you don't really want to have when you're playing against a field such as this. But respectable to still finish where he did. 100%. Clint's a hell of a guy, and man, I mean, we all know he's a hell of a player, and he doesn't mess around. I mean, he gets down and gets to work, and that's one thing, and he doesn't fumble about it.
Now he's fun to watch. I've always enjoyed playing him. I've always enjoyed watching him play, and I mean, he shouldn't be too upset with the top 8 finish, even though it wasn't as high as he wanted.
Yeah.
All right. So we talked about our top 8, which all phenomenal 8 players. And I don't know exactly who you would take out of those top 8, but I think there are 3 players maybe that didn't cash that I probably would have put money on to finish in the money before the day started. And I'm going to tell you those 3 players, and you can tell me if you agree or disagree.
All right.
I thought somebody that finished in 13th place, Andy Santos, I thought he would have finished up there in the top 8. I also think 2 guys that finished 17th place in this tournament, Hunter White and Renal Bott. I thought both of them would have been in the money. So those 3 guys all came up a little short. I mean, you have Renal and Hunter, 2 of the 700 Fargos, and Biondi, who obviously plays phenomenal. I don't know what happened. I mean, obviously a tough field. I think, Renal and Hunter both lost to some good players. Biondi lost to Gabriel to get eliminated. I mean, what's your thoughts on those 3 guys not cashing? And is there somebody that maybe I overlooked that you thought would have been up there?
Those are the 3 I would pick. I would say Renal, absolutely 100%. I think Biondi, Renal, and who was the third one?
Hunter.
Hunter White. Yeah, 100%. And I know, Just knowing those guys personally on a personal level, I know they got, I know Hunter's starting a new business, and got some focuses elsewhere. So he probably, those are things that detract your attention from pool.
Sure.
And 10 ball is a funny game, and I don't know how much 10 ball these guys are playing on a regular basis as opposed to maybe 9 ball or other sport. I know I don't see it played a lot out in the ether, other than tournaments or on streams at the pro level. So I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of factors at play there. I do feel like I think Renal's definitely certainly should be cashing, but I do think he's going through a little bit of a lull right now. Just my perspective on that, and he'll bounce back. It's one of those things. I think there's all these ebbs and flows in pool, obviously, and so I think it's just one of the times where he's just kind of reevaluating, and he'll get back on the horse very soon. But yeah, those are the three players I would pick out 100%.
I think Ronaldo just needs to find that something to give him a spark. I think he, no offense to everybody that plays at Smoking Hue, but Ronaldo probably is just beating them all. Like
it's just getting bored beating everybody, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it's like I think he needs more of these kind of tournaments, and I think maybe he needs to quit playing as much of the smaller stuff and just focus on bigger events, and that way he doesn't get bored throughout the week and then be like, well, now I don't really even want to be in the pool hall on Saturday.
Yeah, that's fair. It's really hard. I know he played, there's mostly handicap tournaments. I really do wish there were more heads up tournaments like you offer.
Thank you.
So that's
and I did want to ask this because we didn't really talk about it at the start of the show. The 10 ball. So we play, a little different rules than what you see a lot of people play, where they're calling every shot and doing all this other stuff.
Right.
Or like BCA league. I think you play 10 ball BCA league.
I do play 10 ball BCA.
Okay. So do you like the rules that we had, or would you rather it be like how you play league?
It doesn't bother me, really. Plays the same for the rules are the same for me as it is for my opponents, so I'm not really worried about that. When it comes as a preference, maybe I would say, some of the characteristics of 10 ball, I prefer a call shot, call safe. If you make a ball accidentally, the player has option. And I know you've mentioned, maybe even if you miss a shot and you leave accidentally, that you can still pass it back. And I think that's actually a really good rule that I never thought of or never seen before in play. So that's all interesting to me. I don't know if it matters that much. Honestly, I think it's just a preference thing. So I really enjoyed the 10 ball. I thought I added a different element of difficulty since I don't play a lot of 10 ball. So I wouldn't say I had a strong favor one way or the other. Just maybe more preferential stuff. But perception is, in the eye of the beholder. So.
Exactly. No, I definitely think there's nothing wrong with any way that you can do it. There's so many different ways, which is one good thing and one bad thing about pool is that, you can go to all these tournaments with different rules. That can be a good or bad thing.
And people are going to complain about it either way. So I like the tournament. I thought the rules are fine for me. So I don't put too much thought into it.
I try to keep it simple is what I try to do. Let's move on to one last individual in the tournament that we're going to talk about, and that is you, Chris.
Oh,
you played 5 matches. I'm going to read them off to you, and then I'll give you my thoughts, and then you can tell us, kind of what your thoughts were on your tournament.
Okay.
Sounds good. So you started off losing to Tim Nelson 2-0. Then you beat Tim Spees 2-0. You beat Steve McDaniels 2-0.
I would have won.
Say what?
I would Steve won, by the way.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
You beat Kevin Candido 2-0, and then you lost to Josh Heater 2-0. So you finished one out of the money, which I believe is the same spot you finished last time we were at Fast Action.
It's a growing theme.
Yeah, hey, it's tough, man. I mean, that top 8 is pretty brutal. My first thoughts on your tournament is, wow, you never went to a third set. That's impressive. And think honestly, man, I'm not like, you and Tim Nelson. I think that's a pretty close match.
So
I
yeah,
think,
he's on my list for sure.
yeah, I can see that match going either way. I think you're supposed to beat Tim Spees. No offense to Spees. I love having him at the tournament, by the way. Super nice guy. I think you beating Steve McDaniels 2-0 kind of surprises me. Like, I think that's a close match. You're probably favored, but 2-0 kind of surprised me.
Yeah.
Honestly, yeah, the same with Kevin Candido. You beating Kevin Candido 2-0.
He had a lot of good matches prior to me, or before me, that I think
Gotcha.
he played very well. So yeah, I was excited to be
Then
able to take it.
On the flip side, though, it does kind of surprise me you didn't get a set on Josh, but obviously he was playing really good on Saturday.
He was. The first set, I think I got a couple. I can't remember if I went hill on that one or not. I know I had the opportunity. I just did not play well against Josh at all. So I won't even. That one's just I'm gonna erase it from the memory banks now. Going back to Tim Nelson. That match was close. I mean, the first set we went hill. I had an opportunity to win that set. Same as I actually played him first in the Smoking Q. What was it? 9-ball.
Was it 9-ball? Yeah.
And played him first. And that one, same thing. Went hill first set. And actually no, I went 2-0 on him. Had a chance to close out the set. Dogged a 9-ball. And he came back and won the next 3 games to close out that set on me.
Oh, wow.
And so, yeah, right now he's just kind of my nemesis. I'm just, I need to get it together and just close out that first set against him. I think I'll be in a much better spot for that second set.
Honestly, with you too, it probably is whoever wins that first set probably wins the match, honestly.
Yeah, I feel like that's two first sets that I've just kind of given away, and he even mentioned that. And I think he plays at a competitive level much more than me, and I think that's where he shines. And he's able to close it out better than me. Whereas I don't play in as many tournaments on a weekly basis as he does. Yeah, and I'm not, that's not an excuse. I'm not using that as an excuse. I'm just saying, I know I'm not mentally prepared for things as much as he is, and he's got a hell of a game. And when he starts tearing through balls, I mean, that's
he can get on a good roll.
He knows what he's doing, and I think he has the mind of a 700+ player. I think he knows exactly what he's supposed to do. There's no doubting that. I think it's just an execution thing. And
it's funny too, because had you beat Tim Nelson and you took the same path as him, your day still might have ended up being your last match against Josh Eder.
It would. Well, if I ended up playing the same way, it would have probably been a less fun day for me, because I enjoyed playing and I enjoyed playing different. I was really excited to get to play Tim. We've talked a few times and practiced with each other before tournaments, but never got to play matches. So I was really excited to play him. He's a hell of a guy. And Steve, he got me in the last fast action tournament from last year. We went
into the money, I believe.
It was, and wow, you got a hell of a memory.
It's my job. It's my job, Chris.
But yeah, we went. I think we went 3 sets with that one. And so I had it in my mind. I was like, I got to get Steve. He got me that last time, and I think I just played really well against him the first set, and I think he was just kind of in his feelings about it after the second set. So I don't know. I could be wrong, but he was missing balls that he normally wouldn't. I think it was just kind of gave it to me in a sense.
Yeah. I mean, that happens. I mean, overall, though, good tournament. I mean, you can't really be with this field. Honestly, you can't really be too upset getting the Jacob Blake spot 9 through 12.
I hope Jacob Blake watches this, because we've been razzing each other back and forth pretty good. So
he probably won't watch it, but I'm going to call it that on the show every time. 9 through 12.
I dedicate this to Jacob.
Yes. Let's go ahead and dive into some of our stream matches here. and kind of talk about them. Maybe all the people on YouTube will watch this before they watch the matches, so we can kind of give them an idea. First round, we only had one match on the stream, and that was Ronald and Hunter. Ronald won third set. This is probably, man, I'm just guessing this might be the 10th time that they've played each other in the pool series.
Yeah.
I mean, do you
What's
see?
the record?
I don't know. I haven't looked that up. I will say, I think that's the third time Ronald's beaten them in the first round.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think in rotation, I think Ronald's favored against Hunter. 100. I mean, well, I don't want to say 100%, but I just I know Hunter's a great player, but I think Ronald plays rotation a little bit better.
For sure. For sure, absolutely. I think this match probably went how you would expect it to. Ronald winning in the third set, but it was a very exciting match, and it was a great way to start the tournament with two local players. Even though we had a lot of out of towners, I guess, so to speak. But to start off with a local match like that, I really enjoyed. Second round, we had two matches on the stream table, Chris. We had Jeff Howell winning 2-1 against Clint Clark, and we had Francisco Diaz Pizarro winning 2-0 against Gabriel Gendak.
Okay.
Did you watch any of those, and what's your thoughts on those two matches?
So I have not watched any of the streaming matches yet. I usually go back and watch them. I just haven't had time. But the Jeff Howell, Clint Clark, I would have probably favored Clint in that one, being at his home place. I know Jeff plays great, but I know being at and I don't know how, maybe Jeff plays a lot up there too. I know that's kind of in his area as well. But Jeff plays great, and so I think that was as close as it can get. So I would have expected that match to be close. So I don't think there's any surprises there.
Yeah, it actually went that went hill third set, and Clint missed the 10 ball.
Oh, so yeah, even more brutal, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, Clint, I feel your pain. But yeah, I think that's what you would expect. I think that's a close match. And then you said the third match was
Gabriel Gendak and
Francisco.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think being that they're kind of roll dogs together, I think I don't know. I'll go ahead and say it. I'll blow that bubble. He made some comments to me about not wanting to be on stream and being worried about beating Francisco would ruin his action. So I mean, I don't know what you expect. There's no favoritism in these pool series tournaments. You're not going to get nobody's going to pad your back and protect yourself. And we live in 2025. You should be playing heads up with players that are at your caliber. There's no to be going around and trying to nickel and dime people that are 200 Fargo points below you. I don't it is that's whatever. I mean, we can have a philosophy thing on that, but I do think that he's I don't know. I don't know if that match was played the way it was supposed to be.
I think that match definitely, you could tell that they weren't 100% into it. I will say my favorite part of that match, though, was when Francisco 3-fouled him. I thought that was really cool.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, if you do get a chance to rewatch it, go rewatch it. And I will say my thoughts on Clint and Jeff. I think it's later in the tournament. I like Clint's side of it. Early in the tournament, Clint struggles early in tournaments.
Yeah.
Last time we were up there for 9-ball, Clint actually lost first round and came all the way through and won the tournament. So he's the only player in pool series history to lose first round and come back and win, by the way.
He's a rallier.
Yeah, so I'm not first of all, I wouldn't be surprised if Jeff beats Clint at any point, but I'm less surprised that it happened being the second round of the tournament.
Yeah, understood.
Let's move on here to the third round. Third round, we actually did all 4 matchups on the stream table. We had Jeff Howell beating Tim Nelson 2-0, Francisco beating Josh Heater 2-0, David Anderson beating Brian Francis 2-0, and Mike Davis beating Julia Bright 2-0. Does any of those results kind of stick out to you?
the Jeff Howell and Tim Nelson, I would have thought that would be a little closer, maybe.
Yeah,
that was, but I don't know what the sets looked like. They could have been very close sets, and
I think they were 3-1, 3-1.
Oh, okay, so not close sets.
Yeah.
But you're on the streaming table. There's a lot of factors at play there.
Tim did miss the non-ball the second set to make it.
Did he?
I mean, I don't know. Obviously, he'd have to make the 10 ball too, but
yeah,
he did miss the non-ball to make it Hill second set.
Yeah, I guess I would just maybe I thought that one was a little closer, but man, Jeff was on a tear. I think after a certain point, and he was just steamrolling through some matches. And so, I mean, how do you feel about it?
I think that match should have been a little closer as well. I actually felt like that was probably the most even matchup out of those four that we had there. Francisco beating Josh 2-0. I think Josh pretty much played about as well as he could. Just really? I mean, Francisco's on a different level. The David Anderson and Brian Francis match sticks out to me a little bit just because it was 3-0, 3-0, but David did get 2 lucky rolls to win 2 of those games, like really lucky rolls.
Okay.
And Brian got 1 unlucky roll, 1 rack. So one set easily could have been Hill, but I'll also say this. David beats Brian 3-0, 3-0, and then Mike beats Julia 3-0, 3-0. That's the first time I've ever seen pool series history that we saw back-to-back 3-0, 3-0.
3-0, 3-0.
And, no offense to Julia. I think, she even said she got a little nervous, I think, being on the stream. So I think she's got a brighter future, man. She was playing well that day, and she's definitely going to get better as, things go on. But
right.
Yeah, I don't think really at the end of the day, though, there was really any surprises in those 4 matches. So next we go on to the Final Four winner side. Probably not the Final Four that we thought we would have. Maybe 2 of the players were there, but we had Francisco Diaz beating Jeff Howell 2-0, and then we had David Anderson winning 2-1 against Mike Davis. Obviously, I guess we'll just mention the Francisco and Jeff match first, just because I know we got some thoughts on David and Mike. But
yeah,
Francisco beating Jeff. This was at the moment of the tournament where I said to myself, nobody's beating Francisco. We're literally all just here to see who gets second. And that was when I really realized, this guy's a 780 Fargo
for a reason.
For a reason, yeah. Up until that point, I really wasn't sure. It was kind of like, okay, how legit is that? But
right
at that point, I started realizing, this guy's on a different level than anybody else that's in this building.
Yeah, and to this point, I've only seen him maybe shoot 5 shots, and I'd really like to go back and watch some of those matches to see, because I know he must have been on, on just, a whole nother level, and I'm excited to actually go back and watch his matches, because these are substantial wins, not just if you're saying 3-0, 3-0 against people like Jeff Howell or whoever, so yeah, I'm excited to see that.
Yeah, I would skip Francisco's first 2 matches. The one against Gabriel, I don't think is, like I said, unless you just want to see the 3 foul, I wouldn't really watch it.
Okay.
And then even the first time that he beats Josh Heater in the final 8 of the winner's side, I don't even think that's really that exciting of a match. But I think starting with that Final Four matchup against Jeff Howell is when it kind of clicked, and Francisco said, okay, it's time to make some money because, with the auction, he had half himself in the auction. He was making basically right at $1,500 for the day.
Okay.
So obviously you start getting close to it. You start to smell it. It's time to go.
Yeah, he's smelling that blood in the water. I do want to go back to somebody you did mention that we haven't talked a lot about and that's Brian Francis. To come back, he's been kind of away for a while. I was kind of razzing him before the tournament about him not playing. And, I think, he showed some heart and came with it, on a couple of those matches. Let's see, he won, obviously he beat Quentin Anderson in the first round and then Renal Bott on the second.
Yeah.
I mean, to beat Renal, I mean, is a feat in itself. And he ran up against two heavy hitters that gave him his 2 losses after. But to come back after taking some time off and not playing as much as, at least he said he wasn't playing. I thought that was pretty good.
No, for sure. Yeah, I was excited to see Brian win a few matches. Brian's always a great dude. Did some great commentary as well.
Yeah.
He had a tough draw. His last 3 matches were Ronald, David, and Josh Heater.
Right.
That's pretty tough. And, to win one of those 3 is probably what you expect, I feel like.
Right.
If you can win 2 of them, that's an accomplishment. If you somehow you win all 3 of those, it's holy cow, you're playing good. You deserve to get the win.
Right.
And David obviously was playing really good because he beat Mike Davis 2-1 on stream. And David, I feel like the first set Mike kind of gave it to David a little bit, and I think maybe David will tell you that. But after that, David should have won the second set. And at that point, I thought Mike was playing pretty well. So to see David finish off was good.
100%. I heard Mike, make mention a couple times on some of David's shots. That was a great shot, or and you don't really hear Mike speak much during the match. And I thought that was interesting. Was one thing I did notice while I was watching them play on the streaming table, that he was kind of giving David some feedback, some positive feedback on some of his execution. So I think that was that might have I know if I would have heard Mike Davis tell me good shot, or so I might inflate my ego a little bit, and I might start playing a lot more.
Mike is a super nice guy, and I do feel like he recognizes when somebody's a good player,
sure,
and is playing the game the correct way, which I think David plays the game the correct way. So I think Mike, when he does say stuff like that, is a huge sign of respect. Let's move on though with the tournament. We go to the loser side matchup now. 5th, 6th place match. You had Gabriel winning 2-0 against Jeff, and honestly, I think maybe Jeff just kind of ran out of steam at this point. Maybe
he's a busy man. He's got people calling him all day. He's running he's running a substantial APA organization now with adding on, a significant amount of teams and players probably bothering him all day. I couldn't imagine. And I know he was just traveled back from Illinois, so he's got that going on, and he's probably just exhausted. And I feel that. It's certainly understandable. I don't know how old Jeff is. I don't think he's that old, but it's substantial.
He's got to be in his 50s. I feel like.
Yeah, and I don't know how competitive. I don't know how much he's playing in a competitive atmosphere like that. It's probably a treat for him to get out and play one of these tournaments.
Oh, he even said that. Yeah, he said he was just excited just to get out and actually play.
Yeah, and he showed up, and it's easy to do. I felt like I kind of had the same. I just ran out of steam, just started playing bad, and kind of.
Always tell people that's a huge factor in who wins these tournaments. A lot of times, it's just who has the most endurance to make it through, especially in our tournaments, which are only one day.
Sure. Yeah, so. You're playing all day long, depending on, I don't know, if he's an early riser, he's, probably up 3 or 4 hours before everybody else. There's so many factors that could play into that and wear you out.
And I think we're talking about endurance. I think another guy that ran out of steam is the guy that played for the hot seat and lost. Okay. And that's David Anderson, who loses the hot seat match 2-0 against Francisco.
Yeah.
And Francisco, again, at this point, is just proving how amazing of a player he is. But also at this point, too, you can tell David's kind of, okay, this guy's a great player, and I'm kind of out of energy. Like, you can tell David was just kind of defeated in this match.
Well, how did those sets go as far as
honestly, I don't remember right now off the top of my head. I think it was 3-1, 3-0 maybe. I think David got one game.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I think, but again, Francisco literally played a perfect match on him. And I think even if David was playing his best at this point, I'm not sure he wins that match.
So I know a big factor in 10 ball is the break. and it's commonly brought up in some of the pro tours. How much of that do you think was, just due to the break, or maybe, break execution, or how many of those matches do you think were decided from the break, from your perspective?
I mean, I think, the break definitely plays a big factor in 10 ball. And I feel like, to me, but I don't think Francisco had the best break. I think Jeff Howell had the best break. I think Josh Heater had a really good break. I think David had a really good break. I would say they were all probably breaking better than Francisco. I just feel like if Francisco had a shot, whether it was to run out or to play safe,
He did the right thing.
It was over. Like, if you gave him any kind of chance to take advantage, whether it be running out or maybe, like I said, playing a good safe,
right,
he took advantage of it like he's supposed to, and the match was over. So I think that was the difference between him and the other guys. The other guys, David would break good, but might still get out of shape or something. Even Josh, would still break good and make a couple of mistakes. Jeff Howell, the same way. But Francisco, I never saw him those last 3 matches. I never saw him, be like, "Hey, here's my chance to win," and then mess it up. Like he
understood.
Won. Yeah.
Fair.
So I think it was, I think he just played a perfect match against David too. And then the final match was Francisco and Josh Heater, and again, Francisco wins in 2 sets, and even Josh, at this point is just kind of like, I mean, what do you do? Like, it's like you can't play a good enough save. If you don't run out, you're probably going to lose the rack. So, it was tough. It was a tough day.
100%. All things that will wear on your mind and, cause you to mess up. You know that you've got to play perfect pool. And when you're not feeling at your best, that's a recipe for disaster in any kind of scenario, obviously. So.
Exactly. But it was a fun tournament. It was an exciting tournament. The best player probably won. If you go look, though, we haven't posted our point standings yet. Maybe we will by the time this video is uploaded. But you do have the points. I don't know if you looked at it, but
I did.
We've had 97 different players play so far. Just like last year, Mike Davis is in first as of right now. Okay. Josh Heater in second, and you're in ninth. So you're cracking the top 10 out of 97 so far. So I think, just what's your thoughts on the points? Obviously, we're, a fifth of the way through the season, so still a long way to go. But, obviously the top 64 qualify for the Tour Championship. Top 3, get paid at the end of the year. I mean, what's your expectations, for where you think you can finish, and just overall, just what do you think about? Like, do you think it's do you think it's fun? Do you think it's exciting to have the points?
I do. I really do think it gives you something to battle for all year long. I do keep telling them, like, I'm proof that showing up is 90% of the battle. But I won't take anything. I'm proud with where I'm progressing as far as placing in the upper half of the brackets most times. I was really surprised by the 1 pocket finish. So I was excited about that because I know how difficult of a game 1 pocket is, and I know that there are some players in there that play 1 pocket all the time. And so I was excited about that one, probably more so than any of the others. But nothing surprises me about this bracket. You've got some players that have played in 1 tournament total, and they're still all the way up in the, you got BJ Usry and, Gregorio Sanchez, Jazz is, played in 1 tournament. I think the brass tap one that we had. And so, I expect that list to change dramatically over the next weeks of the months. So, too early to tell for me, but I think it's starting to, kind of coagulate where it's gonna be at some point. Mike Davis, plays in most tournaments, so I expect him to finish in the top 3 easily.
For sure.
I doubt we'll see Francisco Diaz or Gabriel again. Maybe, I don't know. I was trying to ask Gabriel if they would be here for the Beasley Open in April, and I got the European. I don't know. Like, I don't know. So maybe I don't know. Maybe they'll join in some tournaments, some more tournaments.
I hope so. That'd be fantastic.
Yeah. And so, yeah, nothing. I know Jacob Blake. How many tournaments? Is he only played in the one pocket? Is that the only tournament?
This was the only one that he missed so far.
This was the only one that he's missed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I expect him to get up there. He's been playing well. I play him often on the side, and I think he's got what it takes if he just keeps at it. And some of these players I've not heard of. So this is I think I'm excited to see where this goes. And,
I think it's probably about the halfway point in the season, probably about the 10th tournament, I think, is when you'll get an idea of where people, might stand. I think right now it's still, especially with us playing 4 different games so far, 9-ball, or 3 different games, 9-ball, 1 pocket, and 10-ball. We've had a bunch of different players. As we get into the middle of the year, we start getting a lot more 9-ball events than we do other events. So maybe you start seeing a lot of the same players. I will say that Mike Davis is signed up for our next 2 events. So I think, him finishing in the top 3 for sure. And let's talk about our next 2 events. We have April 5th at Smoking Q. We have 8-ball. So April 5th, we have 8-ball. And then April 19th, we're back at Fast Action for some 9-ball. Chris, what are you thinking about those? Are you excited for an 8-ball event? That'll be our first one of the year.
Yeah. Oh, man, I'm glad you brought up 8-ball because I've been thinking about this a lot. I think 8-ball is one of the most underrated games in the sport. Again, I know, just playing it playing it a lot over. I think it's underappreciated, the element that it has. I'd really like to see that kind of come back and make a resurgence. I know we've kind of been hung up on rotation for so long that 9-ball got kind of boring with all the runouts, and now it's 10-ball, and 8-ball just adds a different element of competitiveness and chess to the sport that I think is lost within the rotation game. So I'm excited to see 8-ball. Actually, I think I'd like to actually see more tournaments.
Good.
Yeah.
Good, because this will be the first one of 4 that we're having this year.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. So we'll see. And plus I don't get to play it as much anymore, and I just enjoy it. I enjoy playing 8-ball.
It's my favorite game to play. It'll always be my favorite game to play because I think it's, I think there's a lot of thinking that goes involved in it, but then you can also have racks where it's just a run out pool.
That's right.
Yeah, I think it's just a great game, and I think I would love to do more 8-ball events. And being in charge, that's why I decided that we're going to do 4 this year. Like I told the pool series committee, I said, hey, we're going to do 4 this year.
That's right.
There's no voting on it. It's just I'm not put down on that one. But no, we got some exciting events coming up. It's going to be a fun month of April with 2 events, pretty much 2 events every month. Chris, this has been a good show, man. Do you have any last thoughts?
No, man, I think you're doing a great job. I just want to give you mad props for what you're doing for the sport, what you're doing for this area, and bringing in the heavy hitters and getting players of substantial caliber and bringing competition to players that would otherwise not be able to play them. And so as a player, I heard a lot of complaining about these Europeans that are 770 Fargos. And I'm like, this is what you want. I mean, like this, you don't want anything different. You want to play these players. I won't say anything, but that's what you want. And if you want to be a competitor in this sport, you want to play the best of the best, and you're bringing the best of the best. There's a lot of handicap tournaments, and I know that they bring a lot of money and this, that, and the other, but they're not bringing, the caliber that your tournaments are bringing. And I'm really excited to play in them, and I appreciate those opportunities to play players that are much better than myself and kind of give me a benchmark. So I just wanted to thank you for that.
Well, thank you. Thank you for saying that. It's definitely been a lot of fun. And I love, I started doing it because we wanted to help the, I don't want to say lesser players, but I wanted to give everybody a chance to get better in this area. And I think that's what we're doing. And we're seeing a lot of players get better. You being one of them for sure. I think,
it's true heads up.
Yeah, and it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun, and we do get some good players. It's a lot of exciting, and you can go back on our YouTube channel, the pool series page, and rewatch a bunch of those matches because there's been a lot of good matches throughout our history, and you can check out the highlight reels that were made. There's some good highlight shots, and there's just a lot of stuff going on, man. We got a lot of stuff going on. We got some great photos now, thanks to you, Chris. So you know, we keep improving day by day, week by week, tournament by tournament, and I'm excited to see where the rest of this year goes.
Yeah, and I also love the format. I mean, I think players appreciate the fact that you're doing it in a day. You're not having to dedicate a whole weekend to, and we're running up into the most beautiful time of the year, and so nobody wants to be in a pool hall all 3 days or whatever. So I appreciate that as well, and it gives and I think you get a much better result as far as competition in that regard. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely fun, and it's exciting. The format's exciting with the short races and the sets, and the smaller field. With the smaller field, you get some of these players that get a run into the money that maybe they don't do if it's a bigger bracket. So I definitely think the pool series has been fun. I think this TPS report show has been a lot of fun with you, Chris.
Hey, thank you very much.
Maybe we'll have you back on April 7th when we talk about 8-ball.
I'm happy to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, for all you people watching, we definitely appreciate you. Make sure to hit follow, hit subscribe, all that stuff on all the pool series pages on YouTube, on Facebook. Like, subscribe, follow, and we'll check you later.
All right. Take care.